Hi, good morning, guys. It's a bright and sunny Mumbai morning. A lot hotter than what I expected when I was coming down here, but then solowy, we're still not wearing any jackets, so look at the bright side, right? Uh, as promised, we're back again this time around with a concrete plan, an agenda, and the topic of discussions, so that we can update you with the final lineup. We're gonna go down and initiate Option Symposium 2.0 at the International Convention Hall at Bombay Stock Exchange on 4th and 5th of January. So right at the start of the day on 4th of January, we're going to have an honor from Mr. Ashish Chauhan himself, MD and CEO of Bombay Stock Exchange. He's going to be talking about, he's going to open the event, not only open the event, but he's going to share his words of wisdom about how the derivative landscape is in India and how it is going to shape up from the angle of somebody who's been heading an exchange. So it's going to be an honor and a wonderful experience to listen to him right before the firecracker himself comes down. And
Yeah, so the firecracker would be Tom.
yes, sir.
So, since this is a video on the topic of what will be covered, so the speaker videos we have already done last time. So, Tom, in fact, all the option traders in India are actually waiting for him to come down and speak on this. So, Tom will be speaking on trading uncertainty and converting fear into an opportunity. So, basically, I have seen some of his videos where he talks about understanding the IVR strategies and how can you convert that and use some of the IV levels to go and form a strategy.
Right.
So that is something very interesting that he generally trades. And then he talks about how can you trade small and trade often. So some of these on these lines he'll be talking about, and obviously he's the guy whom we look forward to, and most of the traders in India or the experts also in India have learned actually from his videos. So I think that will be a very interesting topic where we talk about how to form strategies on volatility. Then the next will be a panel discussion. And when I was touring around India, I met a lot of traders, at least more than 1,000, 1,500 traders I met.
Right.
And then one of the common thing that I saw that they want to know if they want to quit their job and start trading full time. And especially in the South India side of it, we saw that, sorry. So in the South India side of it, we saw that a lot of people want to quit their IT job and they want to go and trade in the market full time. So if you want to do something like that, obviously it's not that easy. You need to know a lot of things before you step into that. So there's a panel discussion which will be moderated by Pradeep Pandya, who is one of the anchor in CNBC Awaz, and he'll be moderating. If you have to trade for living, how exactly do you go about it, and what are the prerequisites that you need to know? And in the panel, we have, who better than Pran Kataria being in that
Absolutely.
panel who trades for living, right? So,
Absolutely.
Pranji basically he trades everywhere, not just in India, even in the US markets. So he's the guy whom we look forward to when you talk about a full-time trader. Then we have Vivek, who is more on the algo side of options. He does technicals plus options, but the idea is that he's more on the automation side. So if you want to deploy some of those strategies, how you go about that. Then we have Jyoti Budia, who has been trading the Indian market for the last 30 years. And Jyoti also has been trading in her account for a very long time. Her dad has been a trader. So
Yeah.
a trader, third generation of traders family, right? And then lastly, we have in the panel Ashu Madan, whom we know from, he has been very active on the media. And we have seen Asuji talking about a lot of strategies that he deploys and recommends his clients. So how do you bring that kind of a flavor when you're trading for living? So a very interesting panel is what we think, because the topic is something which we have selectively chosen. So I guess this is something that a lot of people are looking forward to. And then I have a fireside chat, so I'll cover this, and maybe you
Absolutely. Yeah,
can take
yeah,
the
yeah.
next
So
one.
why not?
So this is my moment for 2020, which I've been waiting for, and the New Year gift that I'll have from Concept to
Exactly.
me is that I'll be interviewing Tom, and the idea is that he'll be obviously speaking about volatility strategies, but he has a long list of videos that he has done,
Yes.
and we have a lot of questions at least on converting those into an actionable for a trader who is coming from India for the Indian markets. How do you go and use some of those stuff? So you can also recommend me questions on Twitter or just drop an email on support at Concept, and we can take that also into consideration. But the idea will be that we want very relevant questions that can help people in the Indian market to use some of the advanced stuff that Tom does, and how can we go and implement that. So I'll have a fireside chat for about 45 minutes where I'll be talking about very specific trading questions that people are looking forward to. And then next is Govind.
Govind is going to be a treat for all of you guys. By the way, when he says I'm going to be interviewing Tom, he's going to be interviewing Tom representing the entire Indian derivatives community. So all his tweets through whichever medium that you can, just reach out and send across questions that we want to ask. I'm gonna do that at least. So it's gonna be fun. Coming back to Govind once again, structured product for retail investors. It's gonna be a fantastic topic for somebody who's going to be attending Option Symposium and whose agenda is not only options, who has an investment portfolio as well as option trading as well as something else. It's going to be an interesting topic. He's going to be talking about why index and index options, short term versus long term, index ETFs and option strategy. So he's going to be covering a lot of nook and corners that are always untouched upon by us active traders at least. So about Govind, he's a very gentle guy and he's a very simple guy. So he's going to give you whatever he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about in a English, simple English that's going to be understood by anybody and everybody, regardless of the fact that you are pro in option or you are a cadet in option. Right after that, Anil ji cannot be introduced by anybody better than Shubham.
So the next speaker will be Anil ji. We all know him. He's the guy for Z Business, and if you're watching Z Business, you see him daily. And one of the interesting thing that I feel that Anil ji brings to the table is that how do you go and screen stocks in the live market, and if you are trading the index, then how exactly he gives an index call every day morning, and what does he see behind the scene to go and take an index trade, right? So if you want to know the secrets of Anil Singhvi, this is what this is where it will get revealed, right? So Anil ji was humble enough to accept the topic that my book is open. I'll open my book, what I do, and if that can help people, he's completely open with that. And lastly, I think Susil Kedia, yeah. So Susil ji has been one of the most famous, I think, technical analyst in India, because he was the president earlier of ATMA, and now he's the founder of Kadianomics. So he has brought together a lot of technical analysts in the country at least, and he is also one of the financial engineers that I know, and he did that a long time ago when quant trading was starting across the globe, and he was one of the early participants in that. So his topic will be path dependency, and if anyone knows something about quant and option pricing, everything depends on how the instrument will move and how will the path of it, right? So it's not just the expiry, it's about how exactly the underlying will go and expire and what are the kind of paths that it can take. So a very important thing to look at when it comes from a quant trading perspective. So he'll be talking about path trading and how option prices depend on that and how can you make money on that. So very interesting topic that I see. And on the day two, then we have
Srikanth, there's a cool breeze, boss. I cannot stop smiling. Day two, right after breakfast, we're gonna have Mr. Srikanth Anger, somebody whom is like a father figure, somebody whom we grew up seeing, watching, monitoring, and at least cherishing. I have had a very brief experience of meeting with him in Motira, but then in my previous organization, somebody who's been handling a lot of money, who's been diversing his deployment of that money into many strategies, and who has been very big pro in giving you a consistent return making action plan. So he's going to be talking about proprietary trading is the topic. However, what he's going to talk about is that how do you use these non-linear payoffs that options have in creating a linear alpha for your trading portfolio. So basically, while we have a lot of other diverse topics talking about how to make money, what he's going to be talking about is how to keep making money. So it's going to be very interesting coming from somebody who's made consistent returns over decade. Right, so that's going to be Srikanth for you guys, and Shubham is going to toot his own horn. So I'm not going to speak.
Yeah, so lastly, before we get to my topic, I think one word that I think of when I think of Srikanth is consistency.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you want to be in the game more than how much money you made, it is very important to see how consistently you made that and that's what defines your long term path.
Right.
So after that, I'll be speaking, and my topic will be single option. The best thing about single option is that always you have a limited risk profile, but the key that you need to know about that is that how do you bring the strike rate higher, and because the participation from the retail side is so high in the Indian market, everyone is trying to chase the next guy who is sitting next to him and be ahead of that. So we'll see some of the data points. How can you use the data point and kind of preempt what will be the next move, and can you be ahead of the crowd? And that's what basically the idea is. So with a very less capital, and ek ka do ek ka char is what people look for. So how can you predict that
Lottery.
from data is something that I'll be speaking about. And then we have Rajesh ji.
So Subham is going to be selling you guys lottery tickets. Don't miss his session, okay? Anyway, Rajesh Baheti ji is next. We are honored basically that Baheti ji is coming down to Symposium and is going to be contributing to it with his own words of wisdom. He's still traveling, I guess. He's going to be landing only on Saturday. So thank you, Baheti ji. If you're watching this, we're live right now. Monetizing option Greeks is something that Baheti ji is going to be talking about. And who better than Baheti ji to talk about something like this, who is a veteran and who has traded Indian markets for so long. He is going to give you a super simple insight about theta and vega along with gamma. So these are all Greeks basically. But then what is the Hindi of it, or what is the plain English of it, is something that is going to come from somebody who has vast experience of so many years, and he's going to give you those insights so that given the fact that you know what these guys are capable of, or what these Greeks are capable of, and how they move, you're going to understand easily why and how you should go ahead and buy or sell one option and how to make the most money out of it. So that's going to be a wonderful thing. Apart from that, there is going to be, so he's gonna be speaking for a while, but then after that we've brought him and asked him to give us some time to give us answer to our questions. Somebody who has so much of experience of trading. A fireside chat was something that we thought was due, and there's a lot of argument in the market. Why do you use Greeks? I don't need to know Greeks to trade options. So from somebody like him who can simplify it so easily, let's bring him and let's rack his mind and figure out why and how these things are important, and do we really need to know these things or do we not. Plus there is going to be an ample amount of questions that I would like to ask him for sure. You can contribute on your own, but I would like to ask him a lot of questions. There are 5-7 questions, 10 questions that I have prepared. Apart from that, there's going to be audience who's going to be asking him questions, but we are going to figure out what Tom has created a global landscape just a day before. We are going to dig deeper into it and see how well are we going to implement those things into domestic scene, and who better to give us an insight like that than Rajesh ji himself. Right after that, we have a panel.
So we have a panel, and the topic for the panel will be, as an option trader, you are always thinking whether it is a good idea to go and firefight a losing trade, or should you go and just top it out, right? So this is something that is very interesting, because I have a different perspective to it, and I would
like to stop out and he would like to repair.
yeah. So at times, I would want to just go and firefight, and a lot of traders actually do that, because always there is some opportunity to reduce the loss most of the time, right? So it might not be a very good idea to stop out, but it's a matter of a preference. But if you get into a situation like that, right? So as a professional trader, what you should be thinking about is risk all the time, right? And you have to be prepared of the risk. You cannot start digging a well after the fire is caught, right? So if you should know this in advance, that if something goes wrong, how would you go and deal with this? And that's what the panel will talk about, which is moderated by Siddharth Bhamre. Everyone knows him. He has been into derivative for a very, very long time. And then in the panelist, we have Nitesh Khandelwal, who is the CEO of Contensity. So he'll bring some of the quant stuff inside it, how he does it. And then we have Pankaj Chitlangia, who has been trading in the prop book, one of the largest participant. He has been one of the largest participant in the currency options in India. And then Visvesh, who you all know Visvesh, and he has been active on media as well. And Visvesh will talk about, he has been a real life trader, right? So he'll give his perspective And lastly, Tina, the most of the tools that you see inside Concept comes from Tina, right? So you'll learn her perspective of how, if you have to manage a trade, after you take a trade, something goes wrong, how do you come out of it, and should you do that or should you just stop out? Then after that, we have Pankaj Chitlangia, who will be talking about interpretation of volatility. So last year, Pankaj Bhai spoke about option pairs, which was one of the most loved topic. And Pankaj Bhai genuinely spends a lot of time in making his presentation, right?
Absolutely.
So he was very specific. I don't want 90 minutes, I want 60 minutes, and I want to give it a good shot in volatility this time. And so this time he'll be talking about volatility. And as an option trader, that's one of the things that you should know. And there are different ways to trade volatility, and obviously his way of how he trades volatility is completely unique that he'll bring to the table, right? So Pankaj Bhai will speak about that, and after that we have Bhavin. So
Yes.
he'll speak
So
about his
I'll
topic.
I'll speak about my topic. So my topic is nothing but what struggle we've been through over the period of last couple of years since we've been handling actively the advisory piece of it. And every day the question is that night falls when morning rise is right here and sunrise is right here in India. So you have those crucial couple of hours, 2 3 hours when you have to analyze the market, see what you have to do, and then figure out exactly where and how you want to make park your money. Somehow you have to, at some point in time, you have to go ahead and sleep, right? So that's what the struggle has been. And over a period of last 2 years, जितना हमने सीखा है वो सारे का निचोड़ उस दिन मिल जाएगा आपको. Where what I'm going to talk about is that after well analyzing the market and pinpointing, setting certain parameters, setting certain filters, out of those, how do you pick today's winners and losers right in the morning? सौदा ले लो फिर बाद में सो जाओ, शाम तक में जवाब आ ही जाएगा. So grace, by the grace of God, whatever we've been practicing has its own statistical confidence on the right side of it. So hopefully this will make a lot of sense to a lot of people who have a huge heavily filled day with activities, but are still active in the market and can at least give a couple of hours right in the morning. So that's gonna be me. Right after that, the expiry of Option Symposium 2.0 for this year is going to be with one of my personal favorites is Santosh Pasi. He's gonna be talking about expiry day trading. It's too much of excitement right in the topic itself. I don't need to go ahead and dig deeper into it. But Santosh Bhai is going to be talking about how do you identify sweet spot of execution on the expiry day with index options, especially with the weekly expiry. He was like, this is going to go ahead and give them something to implement on right on that coming Thursday, and make money out of it. So fantastic session, expiry within expiry expiry day trading. So that kind of ends the lineup. And
Yeah, so lastly, just to summarize it all, we have about 9 topics if you see. So there was a lot of questions, how will so many speakers come and speak over the 2 days, right?
Right.
So let me just give you how the structure is. So there are 9 speakers who are talking about 9 topics, and the topics are very clearly how you can, it's about a trading strategy that you can take back home and implement, right? And then we have 2 panels that will happen where we will have about approximately about 1 hour in the panel where people will talk about these 2 topics of firefighting, and then if you want to trade for living. And then we have 2 fireside chat, one with me and Tom, and then the second one is with Bhavin and Rajesh ji. So this is how the structure is, and each of the speakers are getting approximately 60 to 90 minutes, and I believe that's a good amount of time for explaining one strategy. So the structure of the 2 day is very neat. I guess we should not have any slippage in terms of time. And some of the important points that you should know is that if you are coming in with luggage, because most of the people are traveling from other cities, try and keep your luggage at the concierge desk in your hotel, because if you are getting your luggage inside BSC, they might not permit it, and we don't want that hassle to happen. And avoid bringing in your laptops if you don't need it, because if you get your laptop, you'll have to go through a lot of screening inside BSC, give your laptop product number, which might
Serial number,
not
yeah.
which might not even be visible to you if you are using, if your laptop is a pretty old one. So to avoid that, L and L, so basically your laptop and luggage, maybe try and avoid that because BSE has a lot of security inside it, right? So thank you very much, and we already have a good participation of about 350 plus people who are already confirmed. The maximum capacity is 400, and we will not exceed that, which I believe should get filled in the next 1 or 2 days, right? So we will have a full house session of about 400 people attending this, one of the largest event in options ever in the history, right? So this is the kind of gathering that we have this time. And the 4th and 5th of January at the Bombay Stock Exchange, symposium.concept.com is the website if you want to know more about the event, and I'll see you there. Cheers.